Greetings. Um, Kind of in a rush to make this video. It's going to be on this uh, kind of miracles from God. And I don't say God in like a religious sense. I'm not talking the Bible or anything specific, but just God, some all powerful creator that, despite how hellish the world can be, that God still wants what's best for us. And you know and the reason I'm sharing this is because there's physical proof that this happened several times in different ways, where I've gotten signs and synchronicities. Synchronicity is a coincidence that's too meaningful, too rare, too powerful to be just a coincidence. So anyway, so I'm going to be doing a little radio show actually right away. University Winnipeg 95.9 CKUW, and I'm going to actually talk about this humility topic. It's something that I think we all struggle with: pride, ego, and being hurt in either from yourself because you feel bad for bad things or stupid things you may have done, I'm just going to tie it in with humility. It's the seven sacred teaching, one of the seven sacred teachings. You have love, courage, honor, wisdom, truth, all these powerful, I guess call them teachings, in ways we're supposed to really be and learn and develop to be the best people we can, not just for ourselves, but actually for everyone else. And that's kind of, I think, what this will really be about. It's not just for selfish reasons. So, some years ago, I was struggling with alcohol addiction, some guilt and shame and trauma from stuff in my personal life, and then just stuff that goes externally, like you look around the world, a lot of bad things going on all the time. And so during this time, though, I was in a pretty bad state. I had trouble functioning and getting out of this mindset, this negative, super negative mindset, and then also not relying on alcohol to ease it, take the edge off. And it's a slippery slope to becoming an alcoholic. So I didn't know I knew I needed to get better, because it's one thing to have your life go down and it only affects you. But when you have friends and family and people who care about you, and you affect them, it's different, right? And so I knew I needed to get better. I just didn't know how to change my mindset. I didn't know how to stop these bad memories of. It was just a cycle, in my mind. It was from stuff when I was a kid to an adult to could have been the day before, because it's oh, I'm an alcoholic and I'm you're stuck here, and you can't seem to get better or feel better. And I didn't know how to change it. I knew I needed to, though, because I was man, if I keep going this way, it's not just my life I'm affecting. It's I need to get better for everyone else. So, but I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I needed, I guess, help. I wanted inspiration, a sign, something. And I didn't know what it was, but I thought of a phrase my grandma said when I was a kid. She said, going for a walk can clear your head. fresh air, walk, whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna try that. I'm just gonna go for a walk. And this was middle of January, minus 30, minus 40, whatever it was. Middle of the night. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go for a walk. Maybe I'll find some inspiration. Okay. And so just remember this intention and the pre-story to this. So I go for a walk. I turn down a back alley right by my house, and I find this book laying on the ground, kind of right beside the dumpster. I pick it up, and it says Singing Wolf on the title name here. It's like, Singing Wolf? I'm like, that's like an indigenous spirit name. I'm like, oh, cool. So I just kind of start opening it up, and I saw some cool drawings in the back. And but I go to the first page here, and it says, Day 1 Journal. I learned that we experience guilt and shame at such a young age. I've also learned that I can still fix some of my guilt and shame and heal from it, that I don't need to keep carrying it with me. To accept and forgive, because you're letting go of the guilt and shame. And I think they were writing this to a caregiver, a parent or something, and this was a bit of a homework thing for them to do. But anyway, I was just like, what the, it was like, there's no way. Like, this is literally like a lesson on humility, experiencing guilt and shame at such a young age, and that you can still fix it. And so I was just like, holy crap. And it says journal day 2. I'm only human. Mistakes happen. But I will say, before I started working on myself, I failed all the time. But now I'm getting a better grasp of it. Third, there's a couple of things here, kind of cute things between the kid and their caregiver. But on the last page, that's kind of meaningful for this. Journal homework. Number 1. I think I will be rebuilding self-acceptance every day of my life. But I also know I'm starting to rebuild it as of now. Yes, I can acknowledge my flaws. That I'm going to continue to grow and learn every day for the better. So again, I was like floored, right? I was like dealing with this guilt, shame, trauma, cycles, patterns. Go for a walk on freezing Winnipeg night. That was also a full moon, okay? So this is where it gets extra special. Like, it's already special, okay? Like, what are the chances of finding that? That's like one in a lightning strike, like 1 in a million, 1 in a billion. So I tell a friend this. I'm so excited. I tell this friend, and she says, hey, the first full moon in every January is a wolf moon. I was like, what? I didn't know that. I'm like, a wolf moon? I'm like, this thing was titled Singing Wolf. I'm like, oh my god, like another layer to the synchronicity. Or the coincidence, right? Is it really a coincidence? But that's not all. The 7 sacred teachings. That's, I don't have much history details to give. But essentially, the story of the 7 sacred teachings is a story similar to Jesus, where God sends a helper, a prophet, or whatever you want to call it, to help show people the way. Because, life is hard. God knows life is hard. And yeah, sometimes I guess God sends some people to help show the way. So yeah, 7 sacred teachings. Each animal or each teaching is represented by an animal. So you have eagle, which is love, beaver, wisdom, Um, I don't have them all memorized, but there's truth, wisdom, love, courage. I don't have them written up here right now, but anyway, all represented by an animal, and wolf represents humility. Okay, so we have wolf representing humility. This humility book is titled Singing Wolf, found on a wolf moon the night I decided to go for a walk to get some inspiration to help with my, call it humility issues. If that's not a freaking miracle, what is? How do you explain that? Like, it's mathematically so ridiculous. It's one, like, even if the first one is 1 in a million, like me finding this, just as it is, call it 1 in a million. Well, now you're adding another times a million, times a million, times a million, like to each one of those, because it's that same sign, humility, wolf, wolf moon, singing wolf, you know what I mean? It's just, it exponentially increases to, it's mind-blowing, okay? If it's not mind-blowing to you, I don't know what to say. Maybe try harder to understand how crazy this is. Get rid of your pride and ego and appreciate this. So, and this isn't the only thing I've gotten over the years, but I'm not sure if I should make a separate video, but I'll just keep going. So 1111, people call it angel numbers, or you Google it, 1111 angel numbers. It's kind of like one of these weird time clock, or doesn't even have to be a clock, but like sometimes people would see it all the time, whether it's 222 or 333. It's like you're not looking for it, but just every time or often you happen to like look at the clock and you're like, oh wow, like. So seeing it on a clock, it's like, well, whatever, people say, you're just looking for it. Okay, but when it starts getting sent to you in ways that are kind of like this, there's no, oh, you're just looking for it anymore. And so many years ago, I started a urban farming business. The idea was to make use of unused lawn space and grow healthy food instead of getting the, sprayed toxic GMO stuff, the overly processed. A lot of, diseases caused from food, a lot of damage to the environment, and it's just everything. And so back in the day, I was really upset with the world and everything. There's like evil everywhere. There's just horrors and tragedies everywhere you look, And at the time I was like, well, rather than killing myself or just complaining about it, like, we all do, it's easy to complain. I was like, I'm going to try and do something about it. And I'm like, maybe that'll, whatever, make me feel better, or just whatever. Like, if I'm going to be here, like, let's try and clean up the place, or, just pick something and do it. And I'm like, what's the greatest good? What's the number one thing I can do? I'm like, I can't control wars and banking and all this stuff, but I'm like, I can control what, I put into my body, and maybe what other people put into theirs. And so the urban farming thing was inspired from Curtis Stone. Curtis Stone's a Canadian who wrote a book and did lots of videos on urban farming and how to make money doing it, and really amazing, super talented, smart guy. Super props to him. Go check him out on YouTube. Curtis Stone. So I kind of started this business based off his model. And at the time, I was at the railway. I was a locomotive engineer, conductor, train conductor, engineer, driving trains, whatever. And I kind of made a decision to, take some time off essentially and start this business. When you lose your job or whatever, let's just say, you can apply for government assistance and they kind of help supplement your income till you start working again. Okay? So signed up for that, and they send you a 4-digit passcode to your mailing address, and you use the secret code to log in for the program. The number they sent me, the random generated number, was 1111. Okay? Oh, is that just me looking for it again? Is that just random? I don't think so. Well, I know it's not. And then so what was weird though, at the time I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do with this. I'm like, I didn't, this was like 10 years ago. I was just like, okay, cool. Synchronicity, I guess I'm on the right track. And I just kind of forgot about it. And I did my, started doing my business and stuff, and things were going kind of all right, kind of bad, whatever. And then I kind of lost my spirit again, I started getting hammered by the world and myself and whatever. I just kind of lost my mojo and kind of forgot about this. But eventually I started kind of understanding this. I kind of thought, I went back to thinking about this and the importance of this and my business and my life and all these things to, again, kind of reprogram some of the negative stuff. But then I made this connection, I'm like, okay, so I tried to do the greatest thing I could think of at the time to help things, urban farming. I didn't have an ulterior motive. I didn't have some selfish thing, it was genuine. It was genuine. I'm just doing this because I care. And I actually did it. I didn't just talk. I didn't just complain. It's about the works. And, not to quote Jesus and stuff, but they and Christians will argue this, but Jesus and his disciples say it's about works. It's not just faith. James, his brother, says faith without works is dead. It's useless. Unfortunately, the Christians, the bulk of them, and the church, they promote this guy Paul in the Bible, and Paul says it's about faith. It's more about faith, and that's part of that. This will be a whole other video on combing through some of the inconsistencies and hypocrisies of the Bible and the church, and how it's actually very anti-Jesus in a lot of ways. But anyway, it's about works, and I did the works. I was doing it. I sacrificed my job to do something that I thought was more important. So I kind of rethought of that, and I was like, hey, well, maybe I'll try doing that again. I'll try and aim for the highest good, and it's something Jordan Peterson was saying too. I was watching some of his stuff, and he was saying, yeah, aim for the highest good. And I was like, yeah, you know what? So what's my highest good right now? I was kind of a little down with my business and just certain life things. I'm like, what's the highest good I could do now? And I was thinking about these signs and miracles and the meaning behind it, and the how it ties into intention. Is it good or is it evil? Somewhere in between, And I'm like, well, what made sense to me was just actually sharing this story, sharing these miracles, the physical proof of stuff. I'm like, this proves God is real. You realize that, right? And I'm like, well, that's pretty huge. It's one thing to have faith, and people have their independent miracles, but often there's not physical proof, right? I'm like, this is physical proof. So I'm like, okay, so maybe I can share this, and maybe it'll go viral or whatever. Maybe it'll change something for someone, or you'll get more intellectual, elite kind of people talking about it, and they can, because they have all these people on podcasts, talk. They have debates whether God's real, Sam Harris or not. It's just like, but no one's showing miracles like this, right? So I was like, well, that's huge. That's my idea now, I guess. I'm gonna like share this, and share what the 11:11 means. Like doing things out of love for the right reasons, and not selfish reasons like pride and ego, because that's the tricky thing, and it's hard to know. Like, people don't even realize they're doing it. People do nice things all the time for people, but they're doing it actually for their ego, and people don't even realize it. But so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start like just sharing this with some people. Maybe I'll make a videos on it or whatever. But when I started sharing this idea with people, or the story, the humility, all of it, and then how it ties into God is real, and there's some messages here. These 11:11 things started happening in real time, like for it to be shown that what I'm saying is like, it is kind of God's word, like this, it's real, like the same synchronicities happen. Okay, I'm just gonna flip this around here. Actually, okay, I got my thing ready. So what I mean about it started happening in real time, this is an awesome story. It's short, but it's amazing. I had a friend who called me, or he messaged me. He's like, hey, he plays drums, and he plays at bars, and he invited me to go check him out because he's playing by a place near my house. So he asked me, and in my head I'm thinking, I don't want to go to the bar, I don't want to go out, kind of whatever. But I ask him, I'm like, well, how you doing? It's been a while. And he says, I'm kind of down in the dumps. And then my heart and mind changed. I was like, oh, really? I'm like, I'll go. I'll have a good time. I'll go support him. I want to whatever, and I want to share him some of these like 11:11 like stories, because it could be inspiration or whatever, right? But that was my intention. Go talk to him about this, help him get out of his rut or something. So I go to the bar. He's playing, and the song stops, and the singer comes on the microphone and says something like 111th birthday. I look to this guy beside me. I'm like, did he just say it's someone's 111th birthday? And the guy's like, no, but the bar is celebrating its 111th birthday tonight. They have a cake over there. I was like, what? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I walk over to this cake, and look at that. Happy 111th birthday, Royal George. And I'm just like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I literally came here specifically to talk about the 11:11, 1112. It doesn't matter, but those synchronicities and the meaning and the miracle and the love and like all that stuff. I literally came here, and the bar is celebrating its 111th birthday with a giant, beautiful cake. And so that's what I mean about how they started happening like in real time, with more like proof. Or I mean, I know it's proof. Some people might not agree. And then that's actually another topic. It's like, why not? And I say, well, people don't want to believe God is real. And I get it. Like, before I started my business, before I got this, I hated God. I hated everything. Earth is hell. But I was like, well, I can't kill myself, and instead of complaining about it, might as well do something to try and help or change it. But I hated God. I didn't even know if I believed in God, but I hated him. And you know, one of the things too about that, it's like, if you don't believe in God, you get to decide what right and wrong is, and you don't have to look at the wrong in your own life, because it's all a perspective. You know, what's right for one is wrong for another, and it's a really convenient, lazy way to keep yourself as a terrible person, essentially. So I mean, I get it though. But nonetheless, and so I think a lot of people who don't want to feel the vibe of this or hear what I'm saying, or God is real, miracles, it's like a lot of that, I think, stems from that. You don't want to believe for the reasons I just said. And maybe there's some other reasons, but how do you explain this then? How do you explain this happening? Is this a simulation? Is this just the universe grant? Like, what is that? What's really going on here? How do you explain? And again, they happened again. Like, this isn't the only one. This is just some of the amazing stories that happened that was like confirming. I want to finish this video up soon. Let me go for a few more minutes. I'm gonna make more videos. I've been meaning to do it, and I just ordered a new microphone to, it's not even working. I ordered something to make things sound better, but I needed to get this done because I'm gonna do this little radio show, and I wanted something for, if I'm gonna share a story on the radio, I wanted something online that if they want to, hear this version or share it to someone, because there's gonna be, I don't know how many people listen to this show, but I know some people, some of the listeners to this program, and it's I think the woman that kind of leads the show's Indigenous, and there's people in prison that listen to this. It's a very, I don't want to say unique or special program or something, but anyway, so part of me wanting to share this, I'm going on the show to talk about my business, right? Like, I could promote the heck out of my mushrooms, but no, this is actually more important to me, and I'm gonna do both. I'll talk about mushrooms and stuff, but I wanted this to get out there too. But I'm gonna make a lot more videos. There's a lot of other stuff that needs to be talked about. Some of it is great and good and cool, and some of it's going to be some just dark truths about reality and the mess we're in. And I think the only way out, to be honest, is miracles from God, just like this. More of this, but we also have to kind of learn these lessons and start applying them as well. And yeah, we're going to talk about the church and the Bible. I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just a guy who's gone to the peaks and valleys of life, up and down, and I've spent a lot of time down. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time up too, and this stuff is the way. And it doesn't matter whether it's the 7 sacred teachings or Jesus. I mean, this idea that, anyway, I don't want to get into it right now, but if we need unity for God's message, it doesn't matter if Jesus spoke it or the 7 sacred teachings, or if I'm sharing it. The word and message of God is what matters. Like, that's my opinion now. Like, so, this divide with, I'll just leave it at that. But if you like it, whatever, say comment, thumbs up, whatever YouTube channel creators want. My website, Perps Produce, Purps Produce. I'm gonna try and tie my business into this stuff as well and other stuff. I just wanted to share, like, even on my labels, this will be like for lion's mane mushroom, but I share a little preview of my story on my label, just like, I used to feel like giving up, but then I had, miracles from God and new inspiration, and I put, 1111, God is real, synchronicities. So I'm already trying to tie it in, because Perf Produce originally was more of a mission than a business, but it's like, yeah, I still need to make money and pay the bills. But yeah, so the mission, I guess, is the same thing, just changing, adding this type of stuff, and we got lots to talk about and learn and hear from each other. I'll just end it off with that, and I'll make more, hopefully better videos, talk about other cool stuff. So peace and love, everyone.